first joined this organization, this amazing organization, I just heard from everyone that people or the UpTogether members or the community meant just about everything. So for roughly the next 30 minutes, we intend to highlight the member voice, right? We even have a special guest. Delighted to have you join us for the fireside chat. First, blank canvas, paint for us. Who is William?
So I guess, well, first and foremost, I'm a father. I have a 17-year-old daughter. When I joined UpTogether, I think she was like 9 years old. And so she's experienced this journey with me. And I'm also what I consider a community advocate because, you know, there's so many facets to our community. There's the financial mobility, trying to get people who are underprivileged or, you know, low wage workers to get them equity and pay. But then there's also these intangibles that's happening in our community. And I try to plug into all of that. So I call myself a community advocate because of that. I'm on, you know, I'm a part of so many different communities, committees and advisory boards and steering committees, all trying to make an impact, basically, just trying to make an impact.
I know when we were talking a little bit earlier, you said you volunteer, and then when you stop volunteering, you volunteer again. Talk to us a little bit about why that is.
Well, I think, you know, I always believed in civic engagement. I just never took it to this level. You know, I started off volunteering in my daughter's school, and the feeling that you get when you give back, when you have the time to give back, like I do. When you give back is just incredible, because it's not like, you know, when you get paid to do something, you owe that, but when you get something back from you giving your time, it's something that you contribute, something you deposit, and what you get back is the appreciation from your community. You know, school kids know who I am, the kids in my community know who I am. You know, our residents know, and not like know who I am, but know what I'm about. That's what I think is important to me. And it gives an impression for my daughter. It tells her, this is what I expect you to do when in your community, when you get to that point. And she's already a part of the Key Club, so she gets it. You know, she understands what you know, her responsibility is. And I think that's probably the most important thing too.
Now, there's one part of your story that that happened before your daughter. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, you know, I was born in West Oakland in California, predominantly poor neighborhood. And, you know, my father passed away when I was young. And so I remember someone asked me, hey, what did you aspire to do when you were growing up? Well, you know, there was a lot of violence, you know, that I witnessed. So I really didn't have anyone to aspire to be. But I just knew I wanted to get out. I knew that I wanted a better life than what I saw with my eyes in my community. And so, you know, I got out. I managed to carve a pretty good life for myself. But as, you know, many Californians experience, gentrification and high rent caused me to migrate to Pittsburgh, where I am now. And I set up shop to you know, recreate my life. But then I became disabled, and that wrinkle changed my life, because right after that, I was terminated from employment. I lost my apartment, lost all my belongings in storage, and ended up living with a family friend. And without that family friend, I really don't know where I would be. I can't even explain to you the devastation of that experience. I can't articulate it, because it's all just bottled up in me. But what it did is it created another drive, that same kind of drive that I had when I was poor in West Oakland. It created a drive in me. I wanted to do something better with my life. And so, you know, by the grace of God, my life took a different turn.
If you don't mind, you mentioned a disability. Could you tell us about the diagnosis and take us back to that moment?
Sure. So, like I said, I was living my life thinking that this was going to be the way I live for the rest of my life. And and then I was diagnosed with cervical stenosis. Um, you know, when you're diagnosed with a disability, it's kind of hard to put your head around it because, for one, I didn't even understand the disease. I didn't know what effect it would have on my life. I certainly didn't know that it would affect my opportunity to earn a living. But when I got the prognosis that it was degenerative, and I knew that my life would never be the same, I realized that I would have to be dependent on Medi-Cal and Medicare. You know, and coming from a poor family, you know, that's the place you don't want to go back to. And so I knew I wasn't going to have medical insurance for my job. And so, yeah, that diagnosis, it changed my life. I was kind of lost. I felt like all hope was lost. And I was just kind of looking for a way to accept the changes that was about to happen in my life.
Now, I imagine that meant you could no longer maintain your job. You could, but you couldn't just sit at home because you had a baby girl on the way, right? Can you
True.
talk about that?
That's true. That was part of the trauma with this diagnosis, the loss of employment, my apartment, my belongings, and how it affected everything else, but especially the relationship with my daughter. She was a newborn. And so that in itself created some issues, but also with her mother specifically, because it changed our relationship. And I get that. I understand that because it took me 7 long years to recover and, and to find housing that was affordable for me to begin rebuilding my life. And I remember feeling hopeless because during that time, I wasn't able to provide for my daughter, and as a father, that's, when you're not able to provide for your child, it takes away something from you as a human being. But I remember also thinking that there must be a higher purpose to this. I believe that, yes, it was going to make me stronger. Sure. Yes, it was going to make my daughter more resilient, and it did that. But I feel like something beyond that was at play. Some people called it like God's purpose. Some people say the silver lining, but I knew there was something else. I felt it because I had time, and this is a commodity that I never had before. Time to think, time to plan, time to invest how I was going to use my time. And so that became a real key in my life.
I mean, wow, it's almost like you turned a disability into an ability to spend more time with your daughter.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I saw it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to look at what is the purpose here? I mean, it's happening at the same time, and I could only see all the negative that it was impacting on me. I couldn't see the positive. And I remember praying about it. And then it just dawned on me, I will have time to spend with my daughter, literally time to raise her. And so that began to be my goal. Like I said, I got a house, I developed a place for us to live, and and it actually worked out, but by the grace of God, though.
So I have to ask, tell us about your daughter, Evelyn, right?
Evelyn. Yeah, she's 17-year-old. She's very inquisitive, she's compassionate, she's smart, and she's real. What I appreciate from her is during this time that me and her mom had our issues, obviously that has an impact on your children. And she point blank told me, she said, sometimes, Dad, I come to you to talk, but you don't listen because you're trying to be a father. You're trying to listen to give me parental advice. And sometimes all I need you to do is listen. And I mean, not only did it break my heart, but it informed me. I went back and I thought about it. I was like, she's absolutely right. I can't wait when she's talking, I can't wait to get it in. No, you should be, and you should be doing this. You know, as a parent, that's your job. But she's right. There is a point where you just need to listen. And I respected her for that. I thought it was so courageous of her to be able to say that. And I could be overbearing. I admit it. I know I'm that kind of person. I can talk loud. For her to have the courage to tell me that was essential. But you know, when the first year she came to live with me, she won the President Obama had this thing where he would send the president's certificate of accomplishment. She won that award the first year she came to live with me, and she's just been aspiring. She's a A student, honor roll all the time, you know. But she also is a movie buff like I am, and you know, she knows how to get her. She can come in and just say, "Dad, can we talk?" and explain things to me in a way that I've never really experienced or have seen anyone talk to me before. And I'm just proud of her as a person, not just because she's my daughter. I see her in the world, and I see she's going to make the world a better place.
Oh, I love that. And several of the ones on the call right now, they either have a daughter or they are someone's daughter. So I know they connect with that. Just the story, hearing the story of you connecting with your daughter. My biggest question is really for selfish reasons, because I have a 5-year-old little girl here at the house. How in the world did you figure out how to do her hair every single morning?
Oh my God. Don't, you know what? The first few years, because she was staying with me the whole summer before she came to live with me full time. Before I got full custody, I had her the entire summer. When she was 3, 4, oh my God. I remember trying, and I went to bed one night and I prayed to my mother, because my mother, you know, we there was 5 sisters, you know, 5 daughters, and she did hair. And I tell you, in that dream that night, I saw my mother's hands braiding hair. It was a picture of her braiding one of my sister's hair. I saw the technique, the way you go under and around and over in the clips. And I woke up that morning so inspired. I think I cried that morning, because it was so impactful for me I needed to learn that. I mean, I know you understand. I needed to learn that because I needed her to look cute. I needed her to look like somebody cared for her. She needed that. After that whole experience, she needed that from me. And man, I did it. I did it. And I also had someone here in this complex, a young lady. I did not even know her at the time. She came to me and she said, "Hey, I could actually braid your daughter's hair if you want me to." I, I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Can I pay you?" She was, no, I know what you're going through. And so between her braiding her hair, you know, like in French braid and different braids, and me, we were able to get through. Oh, it's funny you asked me that.
It
That
takes a
was one of
village,
the
right?
hardest things I learned in my life as a father. Woo.
It's a community effort, right?
When they say it take a village, trust me, it take a village.
Well, I'd love to shift gears now and ask how UpTogether became part of your story. How did that connection happen?
I tell you, UpTogether came into my life at the perfect time. In 2016, like I said, I had created a life for us, and you know, I had made a home for my daughter, and she was like 9 years old, and she made this courageous decision to live with me full time, for me to have full custody. And so all my dreams were coming true. I had prayed for this. It was all being answered. And so I was in a good place, a challenging place, but I was in a good place. And raising my daughter on my own. And I remember I heard about this program or project called UpTogether. At that time, it was FII and UpTogether. But I heard it first from a friend. And then my sister called me. She's like, "Oh, did you hear about this program?" Same thing, you know. And I told her, I was like, "Look, don't get excited, okay? All right. This is probably just another focus group. It's here today. It'll be gone tomorrow, okay?" But my sister was insistent. This is the same sister who gave me the application to the place that I'm living now and said apply. So when she was insistent, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it to her. I'm gonna go. And so we got there, you know, and we went to a meeting that was designed to give you some information. And the liaison there explained the program and how it worked, the concept of, you know, improving people's lives, people with marginalized families, basically, with this thing called direct investment. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, this is a novel idea, but who really invests in low wage, marginalized families? I'm like, you know, please. And so, because in my mind, I was thinking there's been so much disinvestment in our communities, it was hard for me to even fathom that it would be true. And so, yeah, it just sounded too good to be true to me. And but at the meeting, the liaison had two people who were already a part of UpTogether, ambassadors as they call them, and they gave us the highlights of the program, how it helped, you know, to get you give you financial resources, goal setting, motivation, learning group dynamics, financial literacy, and all this. And then they said different ways to build community through social capital, and that perked my interest. I joined because one, I had to see if it was true, but also the idea, the testimonies, it was just all intriguing to me, and so I signed up.
Well, so what did that decision, or actually what decisions did that free you up to make?
Man, you know, I'll admit it, full disclosure, when I first started the program, it was all about the bag. You know, I was looking at the money investment, but once I got involved, something changed because it was no longer about the money. It was all about that thing that intrigued me, that building community, and being associated with people with like-minded, you know, ideas, and all of these people trying to better their lives, escape their situation, you know, families supporting each other while sharing ideas and resources, motivating each other, not just in the small individual groups that we had, but throughout the whole UpTogether community. Like I said, I grew up in West Oakland, and it was a poor community by all standards. However, those families in that community supported each other. In my neighborhood, they exhibited, you know, true reciprocity. And so I learned and came to believe that, you know, families should play their part, should, you know, do their part, and get a part of the share. And so when I look back at this experience, I realized that those families in that community were giving back. They were invested in the community. We were poor and marginalized, whatever you want to call it, but because these families made sure that there was no food insecurities or struggles with any family member that was too hard to manage. I remember when my dad passed away, and he passed away when I was at a young age. There would be envelopes under the door, stuffed under the door with money to help us, because they knew, you know, the people in the neighborhood. There were some families who, you know, it was a mixed, diverse neighborhood. So some of the families had a little bit more than others, and they would just give. And so, um, you know, but after so many failed programs, folks lost that. You know, we've been conditioned to distrust, and that's why, you know, I love the mantra for UpTogether, trust and invest, because, you know, trusting is important. But anyway, so yeah, UpTogether restored that same sense of community that I had learned as a child, and I was all in at that point. I can't even tell you, you know, because when you trust someone, it makes you vulnerable too. But it's exciting to be in that position, and I was excited. I was just ready to get started. Like I said, the testimonies, everything that I had heard, I was ready to get going.
Well, William, we're glad you went all in on UpTogether, and I actually want to lean on some of my friends and coworkers here at UpTogether and lean on them to ask a few questions. Are there any questions? Would you type it into the chat board, or if you want to come off of mute and ask your question for William?
I just want to say it's so good to see your face, William. William used to be one of our fellows and our UpTogether builders, and it's just awesome to see that you're just doing so well. Great seeing you.
You know, I never let it go. I never let go of that dream that we would make UpTogether nationwide in every community. And, you know, each one of the people on this call, I've seen names in the chat. Each one of you played a part in my life, encouraging me, making me a part of UpTogether, bringing me along, each and every one of you. So when I saw your names in the chat, I got to admit, I got nervous, man. My heart stopped pounding because I remember, I know all the accomplishments that we made, and I know what those accomplishments did to change my life. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing in my community without the experience of UpTogether. It wouldn't have happened. And it happened right when I needed it, right at that moment where I had the time and I had my daughter and I needed to do something positive in my life and in my community. It was at the right time. And man, you know, don't let me get teary-eyed over here, but I'm for real about it. It's, you know, it works. This UpTogether thing, it works. And I'm glad cities and communities are starting to understand, because, you know, we're talking a lot of times communities talking about equity and everything. UpTogether was talking about equity a long time ago. Okay, they were talking about equity in communities of underprivileged, underserved communities way before. And now there's this big thing about giving people with lived experience the voice. UpTogether was giving us the voice back then. And so I'm ready. You know, when they say, oh, you ready to speak? Oh, I got a lot to say, okay? Because I've been already speaking in these communities in this form with UpTogether for like 7 years now. So if you want to hear a story, I got a story for you.
And if I can just share, William's writing skills was just amazing. When he was our UpTogether builder, many of the stories that we have on our website were published by him, because he was the amazing story curator. So just wanted to.
Thank you. It's good seeing you too. My God. You know what I feel in my heart though, that everyone in this call felt like I did, because you're still here too. You know what I mean? You're still here. So we had the same vision. We all did. And I'm just happy to be a part of it and still sharing it.
We do have another question from Grace. She would love to know where you would like to see us go. What would be your vision for UpTogether?
You know, the pandemic created this situation where there's, you know, people are behind on their rent. The federal government passed down this money to the states trying to figure out how to get it to the community. And there's a lot of community-based organizations who are doing their best to get that information out. And it took them a while. It's like, I think they're on like emergency assistance program 3.0 because they didn't have it right in the first place. But I imagine to myself that if UpTogether was involved in that process, how we could have been a resource, getting information to the communities and getting those funds to the communities, because a lot of families went through the same experience that I did with UpTogether, and they trust UpTogether. And if UpTogether would have been a part of this, would have been able to distribute those funds, would have been in charge, basically, of this emergency rental assistance program, a lot more people would be involved, and it would have went a lot smoother. And so I kind of see UpTogether, you know, being a place, you know, like, I know there's, you know, Facebook came out, but Facebook is the fake version UpTogether is the real version where people can come, share information, share experiences, meet new people, all on the same platform without the fear or the betrayal of data swapping and hate speech. And it could be a place where community-based organizations and community of people and governments all share the same platform for different reasons, but all share the same platform and therefore the same resources, the same kind of communication like we had on that scrolling board. And imagine how that would transform our communities. It's there. The infrastructure, that's what I love about being a builder is that, we're building the future. That's how I see it. I see us building a platform that's going to be used in the future. Cities are already getting the idea of guaranteed income, which was direct investment in a different term, okay? Same thing, different name. And they're understanding the value now because the data proved it out. But you know where that data came from. Yeah, I see UpTogether being at the forefront of community organizing, community advocacy, community-based organizations, because it's all about community.
We actually have 2 questions. Let's see. Sophie had a question. She said, I'd love to hear more about what the UpTogether experience was like back in the day, and are you still in touch with some of the folks who you did the experience with?
I am. I am still in touch with not a lot, because the platform was the way that we communicated, but a few. And sometimes they'll be like, "Are you still in UpTogether?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? I never left, and I never will, because not until I see it in every community, and then I think I'll feel like my job is done." But yeah, back in the day, UpTogether was exciting because it was communities sharing information, and I remember we created. There was this group called the Leadership Circle, and it was a bunch of UpTogether members from different groups, because we all had our separate groups. And so we formed this kind of body, this board, and we were like, what can we do for children? And so we decided to put together this program that would bring families out camping. And you might not know this, but in underserved communities, some children will never go camping in their lifetime. I mean, they'll never see what it's like to be in the outdoors and experience, hearing the water in a creek or a brook or something. And so we were like, let's take families camping. And we thought, okay, yeah, we get a few families, 40 families. 40 families signed up, and we went out, and not only did we camp, but we made an arrangement with the campsite because they had a brook, a river, and they went water rafting, and just an experience that they would never forget. And I remember that. Those are the things. That's the old UpTogether had other resources, and we were able to pool our resources together and do things. And I remember in my group, we were all fired up. We wanted to do something in the community, and we went to the first community center we saw, and we were like, okay, what can we do? And they were saying, well, we got this computer lab, and it's looking drabby, so we put our resources together. We actually put a garage sale together and put our resources and the proceeds from the garage sale. We painted the computer lab, and they said, yeah, we have to keep our food in this storage unit because the refrigerator on the fritz. We put our funds together, donated a refrigerator. It's just, we were doing so many things. And of course, like Susie was saying, the writing of stories. UpTogether just offers us so many things to do in our community. And I think as builders, I think that's why we're so desperate to get it back, because we know the benefit, we know what it did for our communities. And it was like, embarking on the wild, wild west, because it was unknown to a lot of people. Direct investment, social capital, these were words and terms that no one had really even heard or explored. And not only were we, out there doing it, but we were experiencing it. We were getting the feedback and the actual, benefit from social capital. And we saw how it impacted the children who were involved, and how, they would ask questions like, so, what are we doing? Why are we here? And then we tell them, and they listen to us making these decisions. And we're teaching them, how to have a committee, first of all, how to organize. There were just so many lessons being taught in those settings. And like I said, I just think it works. It works.
Well, William, you're definitely teaching us a lesson, and we really appreciate it. We do want to save some time for you to ask us some questions. So please feel free. You have any questions I can't answer, we have the rest of the team here.
I just wonder how we can serve a global nation, because the pandemic showed us that we're closer than we think. We're more related to these outside countries than we think we are. And what we're doing here now with UpTogether, building this platform, will serve a global nation eventually. And so that I'm just trying to think out of the box, like just something like way out there, like, okay, not because at first, when I first joined, I was thinking, wow, community, and then nationwide, and now I'm thinking global wide, because they need it. There are people in other countries, they need something like UpTogether, a place, like I said, to form community of people, to meet other people, to in a small group or in a large group, however you want to do it, a place where you can trust financial capabilities to be taking place in your community, distributing funds, being involved with the government, but not having the same restrictions and barriers that the government programs put on you. That kind of freedom and liberation is needed all over the world. That's needed everywhere. And so, yeah, I think you're right on with that.
Well, William, we really appreciate it, and we thank you for the value that you're putting into the builders meetings, and that you're thinking about our future and our direction. And I know we're getting ready to wrap up the fireside chat, but I wanted to give our leader, someone who wakes up every single day thinking about the direction of UpTogether, our CEO, a chance to just say a few words. Jesus, would you mind unmuting yourself? The floor is yours.
Not at all. And just again, thank you, William. As always, inspiring and helping and leading in this work. The one addition I would say is, once we get that right, your example and your participation, how do we bring along with you and give you the opportunity to bring others along in creating a chorus, really, that could really couple this as a movement that can go beyond whatever borders we're facing here in this country and beyond. And I know that I share in this collective inspiration that we want to send these ripples far wider than I think we can yet even imagine or think about. And just in keeping it in today to get there, I think both of those things, I know we'll get there because of your passion and that of your communities.
Thank you. Thank you. And all these organizations that I'm involved with, I'm just building a list for us to, integrate into the UpTogether family. And they don't understand, because they're doing it out there on their own. But UpTogether has the experience, the know-how, the trust. And so when we introduce the UpTogether platform, when it's all said and done, when we introduce this to all those organizations, it's going to take off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's safe to say we exceeded our 3 goals for the day. Definitely took care of those 3 logs on the fire. So thank you, William. Thank you, sir, for your just being open and sharing your story and then teaching us a little bit along the way. So thank you for being our first guest on the Fireside Chat.
Thank you. It was my honor. Truthfully, it was my honor to be here, to see so many people that I love and respect and have worked with in the past and just continue to work with in the future. Man, I really do feel like we're a family. And, you know, that's how I get when I see my family and haven't seen them for a while. My heartbeat, I get warm and tender. And that's how I felt when I entered into this space. And so I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to relive my life again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone else for being here.